For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
A letter demanding data on Cuban medical missions roils the Caribbean and the Americans. Questions are being asked of governments like St. Lucia and a number of other nations that are benefiting from the Cuba Medical Brigade. Also on this afternoon's NewsSpin program, police brutality, allegations of that, and we have a video to go with it, and a whole lot more between now and 2 o'clock this afternoon on this, the world's most monitored talk show. And Amanda is on this afternoon. She's in for the assignment. She's already going through some of your comments in the chat room, and she'll be having a few updates for you. And of course, I'll be hearing from you as well via your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Hello to you around the world, especially to an individual who is already watching the broadcast, and I think that individual is in Orlando, Florida. It is not often that we are critical of law enforcement in St. Lucia, the police, because we know that their job is a very difficult one. It's a demanding one. And they're always under the glare, under the spotlight of the people that they serve, the St. Lucian public. And therefore, from time to time, they would be, in some cases, unduly criticized. But there are instances, based on what we would be visualizing, when we can determine that it is very much warranted. And very often people tell you, you might be watching a video at a particular juncture, and therefore you don't have the benefit of the full story, you don't have the context, etc. But there are occasions when certainly you must use your common sense, and then you reach a conclusion on that basis. So you are watching right now via Facebook and YouTube police manhandling, treating this individual like an animal, a dog. And we don't even do those things to our best friend anymore. It's not acceptable. It is not something that would be tolerated. And people look at this with great disapproval. But this individual, he is known by the nickname Koshi. And I'm assuming it's because his legs, his hands are deformed. He's not an able-bodied individual. And this guy is being picked up like a rag and he's being shoved into a vehicle, first attempt, and then a second attempt is being made to grab him and to ensure that he gets into the vehicle. Yet still, his legs are dangling, and it is one mess. In such instances, I don't know how the damage can be repaired. When something is damaged, that means it is beyond repair in terms of the reputation, not only of those two police officers, but the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and also the hierarchy of our lone law enforcement agency. Now, when those things happen, and we highlight it on this broadcast, the police would quickly promise to investigate and later to provide members of the public with a report. I don't know what level of investigation or what can be said later by the police commissioner or other police officers that would cause us to think different to what we have seen there. And also for us to conclude that the police were acting in a professional manner. Clearly, I do not believe that the police on this occasion can redeem themselves and their reputation. What happened there, I think it happened yesterday evening along the Chaussee Road, unacceptable, and we need within the space of a few days to hear from the police on this incident, which is unacceptable, the excessive use of force, the abuse that this individual was subjected to. It certainly should not go without a response and also some form of discipline. And if we will continue to highlight this particular incident until we hear from the hierarchy of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. That is how serious this incident is. A letter demanding data on Cuban medical missions roils the Caribbean and the Americas. So increasingly, the lesson for us in St. Lucia is that it really matters the caliber of individuals we elect into office to represent our interest. Not only on the ground right here in St. Lucia, but indeed beyond the shores of this island. That is because of the fluidity with which things are occurring not only on this island, but on the world stage, that certainly warrant us having individuals who are adequately equipped, adept, and nimble and flexible as well to represent our interests. So at one time we're dealing with the possible travel ban being imposed on us by the United States, and now you have the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights making what is being described as an unusual request, and that is calling on countries like St. Lucia to provide details including whether they have an agreement with Cuba for medical missions, whether those workers have labor and union rights, and information about any labor complaints. And I think many of you can attest to that fact, that the Cuban medical personnel who have been providing their services to St. Lucia over several decades. You could describe the quality of service that they provide to us as stellar. And a lot of people are showering a lot of praise on those Cuban personnel. In total, we're talking about over 22,000 doctors working in more than 50 countries, including the Caribbean and the Americas. And so the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, what they have done is to issue that letter making that request to OECS member states. And that letter was penned on May the 24th this year. And member states of the OES have been given 30 days to respond. 30 days to respond. Now, we don't know if this is something that would have been influenced by the United States, because we heard from the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, earlier this year, making all kind of conclusions or allegations, against countries like St. Lucia, and promising that if we could not prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that what amounts to the services being provided by those medical personnel is forced labor, then key officials who are presiding over that particular program can have their visas revoked. That would include Ministry of Health officials, possibly personnel in the Ministry of External Affairs, etc. Anyone who is involved in facilitating that particular initiative. So, we certainly have a lot on our plate at this point in time to address, and we therefore expect that our leaders, who are known to be preoccupied with things of a parochial nature, things that are happening in Dennery and Ansteray and Canaries and Marcia and so on, not looking at the bigger picture, they will see the necessity to focus on those issues that are happening on the world stage that have serious implications for us. Because already we don't have the adequate number of medical personnel, including doctors, to provide decent services to our people. Can you imagine if we have to turn our backs on the Cuban medical mission? That certainly will put us in a bind and at a serious disadvantage. The threat we are hearing coming from the United States of a possible travel ban, of visa ban, whichever one you want to, whatever term that you want to use. Those are serious, and they must be given the kind of urgent treatment that is warranted. I don't think it is sufficient for us to hear from the Prime Minister the claim that he has not received anything official from the Americans. And who am I to say that this is not true? I'm not in a position to say that, but I have my doubts. I remain unconvinced, I think, like many people on the island, because I don't think it is sufficient for the Prime Minister of St. Lucia to say, I've not received anything official. A little suspicious there. And apart from saying I've not received anything official, I expect the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, my Prime Minister, to also say, I will look into the matter and I will ask questions of the Americans. I think there's a hotline, between communication, free communication between government to government. So our Foreign Affairs Department here and the U.S. State Department, they can always converse and confirm. Because if you're the Prime Minister of a country and you're reading in the Washington Post, reputable media outlet, that there's a possibility that if you don't do certain things and you're giving until tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 o'clock in the morning, to Adam Britt, your plans. Give a sketch, give a plan as to the way forward, what are the changes that you plan to effect. Then for me, that is serious. I want to know whether there's any truth to this as the Prime Minister of the country. And I'm sure that ordinary St. Lucians expect that the Prime Minister and the rest of the government would want to find out because of the implications. A travel ban on St. Lucians? Can't travel to the U.S. to study? Forget vacation. For medical reasons. And if you're talking about vacation, you have family members there. You have your mom, you have your dad, your spouse, etc. That is what we are facing right now. That is quite serious. And it needs to be treated with the urgency that is warranted. But the Prime Minister seems to be very cool about this. This is how he responded to the question pertaining to the possible travel ban that the U.S. can impose on St. Lucia.
That I, like most of you, read the article in the press of St. Lucia being on a blacklist. I want to inform you that we have had no official notification from the U.S. on any such matter.
And we had a concern expressed yesterday by chartered accountant and social commentator Richard Pitkin.
One of the concerns I have, and this is about all governments, is that you read about these things on the internet. And clearly this is a memo that must have been sent to our government weeks ago. This is not overnight. It's been leaked, but now it's become common knowledge. So my only question is, why has there been no at least indication of, okay, folks, by the way, we got this memo. We are studying it. We've had early discussion. You know what I mean? There's just been no response. And it's disappointing in a way, because I know you can't come out and say, here's what we're going to do, because you can't. And neither can you say, well, but you can at least give some indication that, look, we don't believe that the CIP program is the problem. We have, in fact, addressed it. We are in discussion. It's not enough to just meet with OECS heads or meet with CARICOM. You need to talk to the people who are bringing the threat in the first place, as we have seen. And if you don't do that, then, it could end up being worse than it pretends to be.
Social commentator and chartered accountant Mr. Richard Pitkin speaking with me yesterday on NewsSpin. Let's hear from you right now at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And standing by is Amanda. She's going through some of your comments in the chat room, and she'll have a few updates during the course of our program. Let me see there if I have a WhatsApp message, and the WhatsApp message reads, those police officers not helping protect the victory. What does that have to do with politics? Another WhatsApp message. Good afternoon, Tim. Did the Prime Minister get anything official when he hired the special prosecutor? And we have another WhatsApp message. I think it's about time people start to hold the police accountable with lawsuits. And we're supposed to have a police complaints commission. I don't know how active this body is, but people would normally issue complaints to them, and they would promise to investigate, and there's never any kind of serious outcome. Let's see if we have a call on the line. In the meantime, a WhatsApp message. Tim, does the St. Lucia Police Force have conflict resolution training? No. Tim, the police is making the public turn against them. Only force is now used on the civilians of St. Lucia. So sad. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, Mr. Poleon, along with the rest of the world, must be deaf, because we all heard the Prime Minister say that persons living on Crown land for more than 30 years would be given title to that land. So why in Parliament today Richard Frederick is telling us that the Prime Minister said or meant private lands, and not because you on it for more than 30 years mean you will get that land? Please explain. There is nothing for me to explain to you, sir, because the Prime Minister spoke in very clear terms during that town hall Tuesday meeting of the St. Lucia Labour Party, when they said that if you are on Crown lands for more than 30 years, you'd be given title to that land. A call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, this is NewsSpin on the air.
Bon après-midi, monsieur Tim.
Oui, bon après-midi, monsieur.
Oui, monsieur Tim, moi, vidéo qui a articulé des polices qui ont brutalisé un citoyen, monsieur Tim.
Oui.
Ça, Washington, moi. Moi, comment des questions, qui ça nous l'en fait tellement qui pas bon pour ces polices là, pas à contrôler nous l'en, et pour yo dé là, et pour yo pas à mener nous l'en à un petit police là, sans problème.
Ok, so même si, écoutez-moi, même s'il fait un bail qui pas bon, il fait un bail qui pas bon, ou pas arrêter. Ok?
Exactly, c'est ça moi qui dit.
Ek bougla pa ni, ma we bougla ni pièce ferme, bougla pa ni pièce gun en lay, ma we ek se yon boug qui passe même bien marché, le même bougla gade accordé un film, ou ni des polices ka brutaliser bougla ko, non man, ça pas bon.
Ça c'est en thèse. Bon, monsieur Tim, moi j'ai expérimenté même problème ça là avec police, parce que vous savez comment ça travaille pour moi, Tim?
Oui.
CID qui est pour ramasser un monde qui doit passer à Brazil Street. Alors, côté ce monde n'a qu'à rester, à côté monde n'a mort, la panique parking à sous Brazil Street. So, ces familles dit de moi, yo dit moi qui côté pour moi pas mettre la KSP police vini, CID. Depuis police chapé et puis livion la meyo, là yo traverse chemin, yo m'a demandé qui ça m'a fait là. Yo ouais, c'est un cobia qui là. La te kalimé. Yo traversé, yo vinn approcher moi, yo dit moi qui ça m'a vinn faire là. Moi dit yo c'est un monde qui doit passer, moi ka attendre CID. Moi mouche yo qui côté moye et moi la ka attendre CID. Il m'a demandé licence moi. Moi dit qui ça ka fait pays puisque c'est pas contrôle ou ka faire les chimères. Un moi vinn ramasser. Sous pas te ouais moi vinn ramasser moi. Est-ce qu'on pas te ka m'a demandé licence moi. Moi dit moi pas dit licence. Où ça monsieur là arrêter moi. Tout comme moi comme ça, moi dis ça un moment vient ramasser. Monsieur là où était moi intime.
Wow.
Et quand petit moment, il a crié c'est que les autres police trafic. Là yo vinn dans les sites là, moi expliquer comment. C'est là ça yo a fait chimer yo tin. Moi qu'a dit police commissionnaire et puis moun qui supervise dans ces police ça. C'est petit police ça, yo besoin un chai bon training et que yo poko pa ouais, yo ni claque à manger là en citoyen et que yo pas connaître ça yo ka fait. C'est ça moi qui quitté pour aujourd'hui à Tim et puis moi qui dit ça fait moi beaucoup la peine pour monsieur qui vient quoi brutaliser en bas de police là et qui ont besoin un chai bon training. Si vous pas ça fait travail là, pas employer comme ça. C'est ça moi qui quitté monsieur Tim.
OK, merci pour couiller. 4522979 WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026 716-2026. Somebody says there, Tim, where is Norbert? I guess you're referring there to the minister with responsibility for disabilities, Mr. Jeremiah Norbert. It must be somewhere on the campaign trail. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, good Tim, the Prime Minister's words were very clear. The key word was anybody. Yes, Tim, anybody occupy Crown lands for over 30 years. Therefore, to now have both Mr. Hill and Mr. Frederick speak of conditional parameters in relation to the announcement shows total lack of credibility by our Prime Minister. We have a call via WhatsApp. Hello, good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes, Tim. Tim, on the leaked document, Tim, for the visa restrictions, did one of the list said about anti-American slogans coming from those islands or something like to that note?
Yes, it said that. I guess nationals from those countries who are living in the U.S.
That anti-America, that's what it says?
Yes.
That's the reason why they did that?
Among others.
But Tim, when it comes to anti-American slogans, I am thinking about the racist card Philip JP and Richard Frederick have been pushing for many years. And the biggest investors are the white men coming from America. Or is it Philip JP such alignment with Nicolas Maduro? Now, you know, America and Venezuela are not on good terms. So those guys are doing decisions based on their own misunderstanding and calling it reason and putting us in a situation where we're never supposed to be, because most of our people are depending on America. We are all every single St. Lucian have benefited from America, whether it's through barrels, whether it's through people living overseas, whether it's through direct investment from the Americans. And I believe that is very sad times. Not even Kenny Anthony would have put us in those bad times. Have a good day, Tim.
You too, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Let's see if we have another call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good day, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
How are you, Tim?
I'm all right. How about you?
I'm good. Tim, I just have a few questions for you, the Prime Minister, and your audience, so anybody can answer, if the Prime Minister chooses not to answer. I want to know who's the new holder of the Rockall housing project. Since the Prime Minister's last briefing to Lisa, in a response to Lisa, he said that was cancelled. The original contract with BMAX cancelled. However, the government will be undertaking that contract themselves. And then I want to know, are the same terms and conditions on the previous, is the new agreement the same as the first one? And if it is, what became of the passports, the allocation of passports to BMAX? Have BMAX returned the money? Money's already in hand, or passports unsold? And what's the new completion date for that project? Because it's supposed to be this month, Tim. This month should have been the completion of the fourth phase and handing over of that. Although I have my apartment there already, but I want the other people to have theirs.
Your imaginary apartment.
So I chose the biggest boulder on the site, Tim. I was there up to Sunday. So that's within my territory, so I know that very well. I understand that the Prime Minister has an issue with people going there and making their videos. Well, tell the Prime Minister that is my domain. I saw that school, Rockall School, being built. I broken down, and I am seeing what I'm seeing now. So the Prime Minister can't prevent me from. I want him to answer those questions because, Tim, I cannot understand how a government that made so many allegations of corruption against the former administration can get away with GPH, the Cornells and Galaxy, can get away with BMAX, and nobody seems to be answering them, and CIP. Nobody seems to be in. Where are the public servants who are there to serve the public? Where are they? Who are they? Not asking the questions that are relevant to the relevant people. The Prime Minister has an open checkbook. We heard Reno saying that money is not an issue. All of a sudden, we can spend money like we don't have any kind of issue with money. We printed our own money. You can spend money up to whatever just to get St. Jude's complete. Who is doing the checking and the balancing, Tim? Where are the people? Where is the National Trust? Where are the people who are getting victimized? Where is CSA? Where is the Labor Department to intervene in all of those violations that are going on the different work sites? Where are those people? Dr. King, where are they? I am calling their names because they are public people. They spoke a lot before. Janine Compton, where is she? I can call more names. Where is Thaddeus Antoine, who I believe is the CIP or Galaxy lawyer? Why can Galaxy is sponsoring a Carnival Queen, Tim? And Galaxy cannot answer. Come to the many people who have complaints about Galaxy and that hotel down in Connells, which is a dump. That's not a hotel. That's a dump. What is going on there is nothing but fraud, Tim. And that's coming from me. What is going on at Connells cannot be anything but fraud and money laundering. Now, how can a government allow people to say that? And I know what I'm talking about. I've visited the scene. With a few Chinese. There are no more than, last time I went there, Tim, there are no more than 4 Chinese working there. Building a hotel for so many millions of dollars. Almost $1 billion, more than $1 billion US dollars. No accountability for our passport. Nothing. Final question, Tim. Final question. And I don't expect people after today to ask Ernest Hilaire or Philippe Pierre about passport. Because the 2 that I mentioned there have nothing to do with the issuance of passports. The person we should be directing questions to is the chief immigration officer or the commissioner of police. Those are the people who are guarding our passports, not a minister. The commissioner of police ought to know or knows, because he gets a monthly report on all passports issued from his office, because it's the police issuing passports, not a prime minister or minister of investment. So as the Tell Reporters team, as the commissioner of police, how many passports have gone to Galaxy or BMAX or whichever? He's supposed to know, and don't take no from him, because he knows. I know he knows, and he knows that he knows. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
calling.
very much.
Good afternoon to you, Amanda. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, you spinners.
And welcome back.
Thank you, Tim. Tim, a new spinner says that we can't hope for answers anymore. We have to demand it. The police chief should have briefed us today. By today, the officers involved should be disciplined accordingly and continuous training should be held. Another commentary reads, when the Royal St. Lucia Police Force does well, I will openly give them their accolades, but the last viral video sheds a dark cloud over the police force departments. A few bad apples spoiled the bunch. A new spinner says there are some of these policemen too aggressive, they need to humble themselves. Another comment reads, this is totally unacceptable, that the police officers should be penalized for that. Shake my head. Someone says there, I'm yet to hear from Vanguard. Another commentary reads, heartbreaking, not acceptable or professional. A new spinner says there, Vanguard, now is your time to the people of St. Lucia by letting us know if the actions of your officers are in due bounds with your training practices. Another commentary reads, the officers need to be trained in people skills. They also need to understand they need to behave better, as someone always has a camera making videos. Another commentary reads, this isn't the first time and sadly won't be the last. A few bad officers make it difficult for the good cops who really and truly take pride in their work. Someone says there, these are the officers who are supposed to protect the people of St. Lucia. They are doing more harm than good. Another commentary reads, regardless of how it started, nothing warrants a citizen being treated lesser than. Someone says there, America is trying to have us under their feet to do what they want with the Caribbean. Another commentary reads, Tim, this government has lost all international credibility. Under the SLP, we've seen the erosion of good governance, lack of transparency in police matters, and shady decisions on who gets diplomatic appointments. It's no surprise the global community is watching closely because right now, the image we're projecting is unstable, untrustworthy, and unsafe. Someone says there, that's avoidance. That's a government more interested in damage control than truth-telling. A new spinner says there, when these documents are leaked, it's deliberate, so people be aware of what's happening behind closed doors. Someone says there, my guess is that the government will claim in the ICC that it has not been given requisite notice, and so to any attempt to take action would be a breach of its entitlement to due process. And NewsSpin says there's a growing public perception and concern that political interference in the police force is happening under the SLP government. Many St. Lucians believe ministers have become too involved in what should be independent law enforcement matters. When the lines between politics and policing start to blur, democracy suffers, and right now we're seeing the symptoms of that: heavy-handed policing, selective enforcement, and a justice system that feels compromised. And the team at NewsSpin says there, just lots of rocks for a project that was supposed to be handed over and completed this month. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that update. We have some more still to come on the broadcast. A WhatsApp message reads, there is a video going around with the police and a lawyer. Does the police have the right to make attempts to push his hands and turn off the guy's vehicle? Also, the police made threats that if he drives away, he will shoot him. I'm asking, does the police have the right to make these statements to a citizen of the country? That is self-explanatory. What we saw, that video, we saw that exchange, that heated exchange combative exchange between two police officers and a civilian. And I'm told that he is an attorney. We hope we'll not hear the last of this particular incident. All right, let's see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. Somebody says there, I, along with the rest of the world, must... Okay, I think I've read this before. Person says, Tim, did Alpha Baptist call the U.S. a set of mongoose gang? Another WhatsApp message. I submitted an invoice and document in March of 2025 to the IRD to get my tax refund. I need to get a brain MRI done. Up to today, I have had no response from them. I need my money. And that's a WhatsApp message. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Fue.
Yes, sir. Bon après-midi.
Good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon,
according to the Haitians. Hello?
No bien.
All right.
No haïtien.
Amanda take the mumu. Amanda take the mumu pills this morning, or?
No haïtien, man. No okay.
All right, Tim. Tim, are you familiar with Philip Zimbardo and the Stanford experiment?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so in this experiment, it gives like Stanford University in California, where they give regular students power over the other students it's sort of like in a jail prison setting.
Right.
And then over time, those who had the power started to abuse their power because they were in total control of the other people. Mm-hmm. Now, where the experiment has its limitations, right? Where you can say that some of the participants were overacting and so on and so forth. But I say that just to bring to light that what's going on with the police officers in our country, Tim. You take regular citizens and you give them a badge and you give them a uniform, and all of a sudden these guys think they're like some kind of like superhero.
Yeah, but you provide that so-called ordinary citizen with training. So I think it's what kind of training? What kind of training?
You should, but what kind of training do you think they get, Tim? The Americans have stopped training them for the longest while, albeit policing in North America, I don't think it's any better than policing in St. Lucia. What kind of policing model do we have in St. Lucia, Tim? Do we have community policing? Do we have a professional model? What kind of model?
Yeah, but we also have community policing taking place in St. Lucia, yes. We do have.
So is it also a professional model where the police understand that they have to protect and serve citizens and that they work for the general public and not the other way around?
I imagine that all that is provided, they're exposed to all that kind of concepts during their training.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't think so, Tim, because as I say, as per the Stanford experiment, these guys, you give them a badge and you give them some type of immunity. And they go out there and they think, well, they're Superman and they can do whatever they want to the citizens, to the ordinary people in the general public. You don't have to live in St. Lucia. Even when police officers come from St. Lucia and they move to foreign countries, the way they carry themselves out in the general public, as if like they have this pompous attitude, like, oh, Casa, Me see, man, a police in city, and the way they carry themselves, Tim. I don't know. It's just a damn bloody shit, Tim. Anyways, Tim, I want to ask another question. Tim, the containers that the government brought to St. Lucia and the Labour Party were making a big show about it. What's in those containers? Is it construction material or hospital equipment?
Which container you making reference to?
I don't know. I saw on social media and all labor zealots calling talk shows talking about, those containers that came for St. Jude's. Oh, I'm so proud and St. Jude's is going to open and da-da-da-da. And do you know in which month in June St. Jude's opening?
I don't know exactly when, but the Prime Minister said that St. Jude's will be opening very soon. I don't think he said exactly when.
Oh, so every 3 months is very soon. That's how I keep hearing it, you know, Tim. Every 3 months they come out and make a mockery out of themselves and say St. Jude's is going to be opening very soon. And before I beg the people to vote Flabo, the people of the South, is, Tim, every day we inch closer and closer to becoming North Korea, Tim. Every day, Tim, we inch closer and closer to becoming states like Iran and Russia. Because you see the erosion of free press. Free press pretty much doesn't exist in St. Lucia outside of yourself and maybe a few other journalists, Tim. All the others have been bought and paid for. Civil society has eroded. They have been bought and been paid for by our masters, Tim. Every single day, Tim, we inch closer and closer to becoming North Korea. Don't forget Orwell, Tim, 1984, Tim. Don't forget. Every day, we get closer and closer to becoming a communist state. Anyways, Tim, you take care.
All right, sir. You
and
too.
bye, Amanda.
Thank you so much for your contribution. The broadcast will continue in just a moment with more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. And somebody is claiming that Lucians are being denied visas, and the visas are not being renewed. This is the most monitored talk show in the world.
Carnival just got crunchier with KFC. It's time to fat, win, and feast with the Carnival Crunch Box. For just $30, get a Big Crunch or Zinger sandwich, 3 crunchy strips, a dipping sauce, regular fries, a 16-ounce soda, and a biscuit. But wait, that's not all. Every Carnival Crunch Box gives you a chance to win big. Promotion runs June 1st to July 20th. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Do whatever that crunch you want.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New York 454-6555.
Lucilec kavete ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone ça là. Mi un petit commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Couiller Lucilec avant ou trim et bien couper pied bois qui pou ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outils ou ka servi pas venir moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
In the blink of an eye, disaster can strike. Are you ready? When the winds rage and the rain pours, will you be prepared? Don't let the next hurricane catch you off guard. At MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt, we understand the importance of preparation. From generators to plywood, we have everything you need to weather the storm. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt today and make sure your family is safe and secure this hurricane season. Play it safe. Get prepared.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot hide. It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps pumping. Together going strong. No matter what, we keep things flowing. For the people we will go all in. Our hands up in the sky. Celebrate and come, let your rhythm flow. Flow, 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 flow. Come, let your rhythm. Come, let your rhythm flow.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Bouteille. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Thanks so much for staying with this, the most monitored talk show in the world, where we continue with your calls and your WhatsApp messages. I think we have a WhatsApp message. Let's see if we can access it at this point in time. And it reads, do you know how this altercation with the lawyer and police ended? Was he arrested? Well, I don't have the details with regard to how this whole situation culminated. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you on the air.
Good day, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
You know, I've been talking to some people and I don't know. What, after this election, Tim, I could not make a judgment call on the last election. But after this election, will determine if I ever speak on anything that happens in this country again. Simply because, I'll tell you why. St. Lucians, right now, some of them are of the belief that this government is doing a lot. Now, here's on the basis that they are saying that this government is doing a lot. Public servants receive a $500 back pay or whatever it was. Raise whatever, they get a little increase. Pensioners get a little increase. little perks along the place. People are getting a few dollars on service charge on some goods, and so on and so forth. And so some people are of the view that this government is doing well. Now, Tim, I am not biased so much to say that these things are not good. They're good things. But you ask the question, okay? Every time you see these things happening in a country, to me, and that is how I see it, and that is how I've heard of it happen in some countries, where you have a section of the population that is really not working. They are the educated, and you have those that are qualified and educated that are working. So they are jobs. But then the government wants to put something in place for those persons who's on the bread, and those persons who does not have education and so on and so forth, and they want to do something for them. So they'll put all those little perks in place, you understand, so that they would benefit. But in St. Lucia, what we are doing, we are putting the cart before the horse. Instead of creating initiatives, creating jobs and for people who went out to educate themselves and so on and so forth, to get a proper job, we in St. Lucia are forgetting about doing that, and we're giving little benefits here and there. Now, if Labour Party were to ever win election in St. Lucia, the next coming general election, all that will tell me is that we have a lazy society who want to do nothing but to depend on handouts. Because while all these things are good, like I said, but at the end of the day, if you're really smart and you really use your head, you'll realize by the time they give you a little $500 there, just in case you have utilities, by the time you pay your utilities, it's gone. And if you decide not to pay all of it, you'll pay half of them. By the time you go and shop on the rest, it's gone. They're telling us to eat green figs, Tim, but you think you can buy green figs to sustain you for the week these days? You can't do that. You cannot buy ground provisions, Tim. Ground provisions are cheaper, more expensive than rice. To add insult to injury, Tim. There's I don't know if you had that experience or if anybody else had that experience. There's a particular rice that is coming from the government warehouse, Tim. That is, it stinks. You'll wash it 100 times and the rice is cooking. The smell is coming out like it's a lagoon you have in your kitchen, Tim. Where is the government getting that from? Where are they getting that kind of rice to give us? They said Laura lied some time ago about not having rice. Just the little bit they got, Tim. You know it finished already.
Was it rice or flour? I think it was flour.
Go, they tell me they don't have rice.
I think it was flour.
Well, flour was one of it. But that is the common thing these days. Every week or 2 weeks, every other week, you get in either there's no flour, no rice, or no sugar. Every other week, that's how it is in St. Lucia now. You understand? Like I said, to add insult to injury, the rice we're getting is like they're picking it somewhere in a lagoon thing. It's smelling. You cannot eat that when you cook it. If St. Lucians open their eyes, but I say one thing, I selling everything I have and I looking forward to migrate somewhere. It could be on Murray Island I go to, but I not staying there.
You're not staying, you're not staying on the mainland. Well, for sure,
I'm not staying there again.
For sure, you'll have great difficulty going to the United States, Caller.
Well, I will find somewhere to go, but I don't think I'll be able to live in St. Lucia again.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. 4522979. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp message to go through. And somebody says there via WhatsApp. I would like to ask your previous caller, what exactly did Alan Chasney do for St. Lucians when he was in office? And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. This caller is on point about the rice. He is correct. Meant to let you know. And let's see if we have some more of your messages. Somebody says that these police officers lack professional home training and empathy. They seem very ruthless and out of control. This administration acts like a spin-off of the Trump administration as well. And 4522979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Again, 716-2026. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Timothy.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Well, boy, Timothy, I give the police applause for Saturday, the way they come down in South. So, Vanguard girl was 75. I bring him up to 80 because, you know, the red minibus, the bus was down there doing some patrol, and I was driving, and I saw the way they was, you know, checking on these fellas and what they was doing. It was damn good. Now, the incident with the police here, the police could have been a little more calm with the elderly man, like he's disabled too. But still, Timothy, give the police their jacket too, because them young boys that on the street, and them young boys, when you see you costed them, the way they just behave. Now, I give the police right for the way that he handled the elderly man. And you to catch me very carefully, because you know, St. Lucian, you're saying something so, and I have to say, well, hey boy, just now, boy, you have to call Timothy Poleon to give Timothy Poleon news. Because that is now, everywhere I go now, in the 10 they're attacking me. Everywhere I go, they're attacking me. Anyway, now, my page on what happened in St. Lucia now, on the other page now, is we asking questions and we getting no answer. And that's very bad for our government. A government that want to talk to people, be with people, make people feel that, you know, you for the Mali way, you for the poor people. We asking questions about the passport. You can't tell us nothing. You can't tell us how much passport selling. You can't tell us. Rug halls, the development in rug hall problem. We can't know nothing. People can't be just taking our things, and we are knowing nothing what happening, who dissolving there, and all kind of things, and we just not knowing. It is bad. You can have somebody running the country, and you can ask the question. Whatever, if it's dry bread they give you, push it in your fruit and eat it, and that is it. Nah, man, that's very wrong. That's my contribution this afternoon.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for sharing it with us at 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. 716-2026. Somebody says there, Tim, does the RSLPF have an independent body to investigate the wrongdoings of the police? If no, we need one, and if yes, they need to do their work. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Once again, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's take a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, thank you very much for taking the call. Just let me
You're welcome.
pass on the phone. Just a minute, please.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, yes, I'm right.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hello.
Oh. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
That's Mr. Anthony Avril.
Right. Yes, that is.
Mr. Avril.
Someone just buzzed me and was saying that it seems something happened to somebody with disability.
Yes, it's not somebody who's blind or visually impaired, but it is somebody who has some deformity. And it's the manner in which the police handled that individual yesterday on that was on Chaussee Road. Literally manhandled in a very irresponsible manner. 2 police officers. That's the incident which occurred yesterday.
So what did he do to deserve that treatment?
Well, I don't know.
Was he involved in?
Well, I don't know. It looks like a middle-aged man, and for me, it does not even matter. Because he did not look as if he was much. No, it doesn't look as if it's much of a threat to the police, because the police's job is not to take matters into their own hands. If somebody has committed a crime, you arrest them. Arrest them.
Certainly.
But you do not physically abuse them, or treat them like a rag doll.
No. That is terrible. No, I think that the disability. You see, Tim, as far as we at SLBW are concerned, we see blindness, vision impairment as a component of disabilities. The problem of persons with disabilities affects all of us. So it doesn't really matter whether the person is blind or not. The fact that he belongs to, sometimes I refer to us as a nobody community, you know, and that, so we are certainly driving the campaign to inclusion, but that includes the inclusion where we have to receive, but also take responsibility. So we are not saying if someone with a disability commits a crime, then this person ought to face the law. But that if the person is not threatening a police officer, then the police officer has no right to malhandle the individual. So I will try to follow up on this matter to find exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And certainly, if what eyewitness is saying is the case, we will raise our voice.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Just heard there from Mr. Anthony Avril is from the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association. Let's turn our attention to Amanda. Let's find out if we have any a report from you, Amanda. What's happening?
Tim, a few comments from earlier in the chat room. Someone says here, every day more and more of us are losing faith in the system, in the police, in the promises we were told to believe. But let me say this aloud, we are not powerless. Another commentary reads, we need proper barricade on the Barbono Road. A NewsSpinner says there, the police to move from a force to a service, the training has to be updated. Another comment reads, Team, why is the Prime Minister so quick to dismiss concerns, saying no official word received, when the reality on the ground tells a different story? Someone says there, how did St. Lucia reach a place where our reputation is at risk of such serious sanctions? Is it corruption, mismanagement, political interference in the justice system, or all of the above? A commentator reads, this is a Lucian problem too. Customer service is non-existent in St. Lucia. And NewsSpin says there, we feel the weight of uncertainty about travel, about jobs, about whether our voices even matter in a system stacked against us. This government needs to hear this loud and clear. We are fed up. We are fed up with empty promises. Another commentator reads, Team, beyond the U.S. visa concerns, how is St. Lucia managing its diplomatic relations regionally and globally? Another commentator says, public servants getting back pay and increase was not beneficial. You all should see their taxes ridiculous. Someone says here, these are the bottom feeders who have nothing to lose. Sadly, this section of the population is growing and it will make it difficult to have proper development. And someone says here, brother man, you are trained to deal with different characters. A police should be able to de-escalate and not escalate. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. With regard to this incident involving the two police officers and the individual who has a disability, somebody says there, stop criticizing the police on a 30-second clip we saw. Find out what's the story before. The guy was, and let's show the video, Mr. Producer. The guy was in a stolen/wanted vehicle. He was stopped. Asked whose vehicle, he said he doesn't know. Was asked to get out of the vehicle. The key was taken from the vehicle. When the officers went to their vehicle, he went back into the vehicle and drove away. So hence the reason for him being handled in this manner. So my people, the 30-second clip does not show or say anything. Again, the person says, just to go through this WhatsApp message again, stop criticizing the police on a 30-second clip. Find out what's the story before. The guy was in a stolen/wanted vehicle. He was stopped, asked whose vehicle, he had said he does not know, was asked to get out of the vehicle. The key was taken from the vehicle. When the officers went to their vehicle, he went back into the vehicle and drove away. So hence the reason for him being handled in this manner. So my people, the 30-second clip does not show or say anything. You do not respond to a crime as police officers, and in the process commit a crime. It does not make sense at all. You already have taken possession of the individual. From what I saw, he's not putting up a fight. He's not resisting arrest. He's not armed. He's not a danger to you or anyone, any bystanders, any member of the society Just arrest the individual. And then you carry out your investigation and you make him face the courts. He will be penalized if he is found guilty. Because based on what we saw in the video, the police obviously have some questions to answer as well. And simply put, two wrongs do not make a right. We've heard that time after time. So I think the police officers there acted out of frustration and in a very unprofessional manner as well. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. 716-2026. Somebody just sent me a video of a house. It looks dilapidated and is taking issue with this and also calling on the relevant member of parliament to bring some kind of relief to that individual.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tim. Take a look at that. Look at the house and so close to the road in Castries Southeast. And this is just one of them. There are several. That house is housing a mentally ill young lady. She lives there alone. And can you imagine, Tim, people passing there up and down, Joachim Henry passing there up and down, and seeing the roof is hanging from since 2021, the last hurricane we had. And Richard Frederick is given $10 million to repair these houses. This one is in Southeast Castries by the road. Look at the road and look at the house, and the roof is hanging. And Joachim Henry is passing there every day, down Bele going to Sarot. And he has done what? Nothing about that for long years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a WhatsApp message, and we just played it on the air, and it accompanied by a video as well, or a picture of the house in question. We continue with your calls and your WhatsApp messages. Once again, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And Miss Mary Francis is trying to get the line. Let's see if we can get her on the air. Maybe she would like to respond to something that's been said on the broadcast. We have Miss Mary Francis on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Poleon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you, human
rights activist. I would really have to try and learn the technique for getting onto the NewsSpin.
Well, you are on now.
For the past 2 weeks.
Oh, my apologies to you, ma'am. My apologies, because you are honorary member of NewsSpin.
It is my lucky day.
Yes.
I've been listening to the comments, and unless we stop talking and get our feet on the ground, things will not change in St. Lucia as regards the statements being made about the police and other matters. But this is the culture that we have developed in St. Lucia. Good governance has been undermined by subterfuge, lies on truth, and the rule of law has been undermined day after day by those who are actually elected to ensure that the rule of law is observed, including the members of the judiciary. I am actually calling today to remind ourselves of St. Lucians. Almost 1 year ago, on June the 19th, the DPP held a press conference, which was also attended by family members of persons who were killed under the Operation Restore Confidence and other interested parties, including myself. I attended, and the purpose of this press conference was to inform the public of the steps the DPP had taken over several years, from 2017 when he was appointed, to bring closure to the extrajudicial killings, those that were still hanging, And at the said meeting, the DPP actually said that he had arrived at some conclusion after reviewing the evidence for the longest while that was produced to the police, brought from the police to the DPP's office, which is the case. The DPP does not investigate and so on to collect evidence. Evidence is produced, and based on the evidence, then, if there's a threshold that the case can be successful in court, then he advised to the charges. So he said, based on that conclusion, he had advised the then Commissioner of Police that charges to bring in the officers because the evidence shows that charges of reckless manslaughter can be brought against the parties involved. And subsequently, we didn't hear anything from the police, but I think around maybe July, September, when the then Commissioner of Police was supposed to demit office, that is Commissioner Pelius, Descartes Pelius, she made a statement when the media asked her about whether she has followed the advice of the DPP. She says, well, the proper procedure was not followed and the protocol was not observed. She had not received anything in writing from the commissioner. And she said to the media it would be inappropriate for her to respond to statements made at a press conference or on the radio, social media, as informal discussions. And she said any action she has to take must be based on formal written directives. So when this statement was made to the peer, well, apparently the DPP did not probably follow the protocol. Maybe he said so at the media. They were informed in the proper manner. Up to now, we don't know. When we talk about subterfuge and truth in the governance of this country, we don't know. But the DPP never responded. And if this is the case, to me that was an undermining of the functions of the DPP's office. He's a constitutional body to actually prosecute in the country. And when such a thing is happening, that is very serious. And it went on and on. There comes a new commissioner, acting commissioner Vungard, and then he quickly says he has found new evidence. After all those years, almost it was 12 years, he has found new evidence which is going to send to the DPP. I find that very, very strange, and to me it was, I got suspicious, because you are telling me, you are the police, your duty is that you have been collecting the evidence. You send it to the DPP for advice. The advice is you disregard the advice, and you come up with this thing about your evidence. So the question is whether the police were withholding important evidence. We don't know. The other question is that whether the police are resisting all those years. Was it the first time that the police were advised to bring in the officers to get proper statements, and it is necessary to charge them for the extrajudicial killings, which to my mind was extrajudicial killings, especially in the case of the Beaufort 5, when you had the inquest that came out with unlawful killing, and all the evidence gathered by the police themselves over the past 7 years. Forget about the impacts. We've been talking about the impacts. So the other thing is that why is the police resisting? Because everybody is subject to the law in this country. If you have a crime situation, we are arresting people, we are very happy. And so why, if the police have committed criminal acts during the course of their duty, why must they be protected? So my question is that apparently the police then are resisting because they seem to be, to my mind, wondering whether they are saying why should they be made why should they be the ones made to suffer for what happened on the Operation Restore Confidence, when it was said to the public and to us that there were politicians and business people involved in the whole Operation Restore Confidence. I mean, they had the Prime Minister at the time, who is now in the government, Mr. Stevenson King, and he said that the killings were collateral damage. That's what he said at the time. You have Mr. Guy Mayers was saying all types of things. So I am saying maybe we have to look deeper into this thing, because they're saying why should the police should be made the scapegoat when they were acting under superior orders, as they use as a defense superior orders. I don't know. So this thing has to be brought to the court. We cannot have an institution like the DPP's office being undermined. And I'm surprised and disappointed that the DPP, he hasn't told us anything. It's almost a year, 19th of June, almost a year. The commissioner, Mr. Vungard, has been there since September. He was acting, now he's confirmed. And what is the DPP hasn't told us whether in fact he has received that extra new evidence, so-called new evidence. What is he doing about it? How can our institutions be run in that manner? Important institutions, the DPP, his office is undermined. He has actually allowed it. So certain things that the DPP could have done to ensure that the police follow the advice, because his duty is that he said he has sufficient evidence, and the test for prosecution is the threshold of evidence is that if you have the evidence in your possession can allow you to have a successful prosecution, then you charge and you go ahead. He said he reached that the test was met and so forth. What is going on? And we are going to accept this thing, and that is a stain on our country, a stain on the rule of law, a stain on human rights in our country, and a stain on the police force. Never in the history of St. Lucia we have such a bloody night. 2011 in May, 5 persons killed one time by police officers, and we're sitting there and we're not going to allow accountability and the rule of law to operate in this country. We cannot afford to let St. Lucia go down that way, because it's almost like a police state. I just heard talk about the person who was manhandled by the police yesterday. This is happening all the time. In my various attempts in court and so forth, all those things have actually got me so depressed because of the cost it takes to actually to prosecute police misconduct. And by the those people don't have any money. And some of the presiding judges and the magistrates, the posture that they adopt, the little procedural technicalities undermine justice, fairness in the court process. So lots of things are happening in this country, in the judicial system, which is actually the protection of our democracy. And if you don't really stand up and put our feet on the ground, I don't know what will happen to this country. We cannot allow things to happen. The new commissioner came in. He came in and he spoke quite well, and he actually said when they asked him about Operation Restore Confidence and about what his predecessor had said, Commissioner Pelews, then he says he intends to work with all stakeholders, including the DPP, Director of Public Prosecution, and he plans to look into all cases of interest, including Operation Restore Confidence. 9 months afterwards, you have heard nothing. What about Shakadan, which is a serious case at the Denny police station? This man was found hanging. What about Arnold Joseph, the young man that was killed? All those things are pending, and we're going to sit and accept that. I don't have the physical or the material resources to ensure that something can be done. But we talk all the time about the police complaints unit. There's so many complaints. People got to me and went to the police complaints. Up to now, we have the years passed. Sometimes 6 years, 12 years, we never get any decision about the resolution. You ask them for a decision, they will just ignore you. So the police is actually a law unto themselves in this country. It's like a police state to me, how I see it. And people who figure, well, yes, the police are playing an essential role to protect them and their property, they keep quiet and so. But we cannot allow those things to happen. And I'm calling on the DPP, calling on the police commissioner, let us know what is going on. Apart from the default 5, which the police, the DPP advised them to bring in the officers because it warrants charges of reckless manslaughter. They're lucky, reckless manslaughter. They didn't say murder. Reckless manslaughter given the circumstances, and nothing has been done. It is now almost 14 years since happened in Beaufort. In one night, 5 persons just wiped out by the police force, and nothing. There was no investigation by the sitting government at the time. They left office. The new Labour came in 2012. I called for a commission of inquiry for the sake of the police force, the reputation of the police force, so that we don't have confidence in the institution. I wrote the Attorney General. They did nothing. We are not concerned about law and order in this country. We are not concerned about proper governance. We are not concerned because what is happening, those who know better, they keep quiet because they can afford to rule from behind. Yes, they rule. Lots of the so-called intelligentsia and people who have made it for themselves, who still want to have a part in the government because they love power, they don't have the courage to put themselves on a platform to be elected. But from behind the scenes, they're manipulating the politicians and doing things and so on. So there's a lot of wrong taking place in this country. And good governance has been undermined by the subterfuge. I call what has taken place with the police based on the advice they refuse. That is just subterfuge. And probably on truths going on there. We need to know the truth. They must act upon. And I'm disappointed in the DPP that would allow such a thing to happen, undermine publicly like that his office, and he sits quiet 1 year afterwards. Well, what was the reason for your press conference? There are things that he can do. I have more to say, but I'm just going to rest it on that what I've just said. It is disappointing. People who were arrested during COVID, arrested by police for not having a mask or being out on the street beyond the curfew hour. When the very police arresting them in the person's face, the police had no mask. That person was brought to court. Luckily, he won part of the case and so forth. All kinds of things are happening, and it is beyond the means of those people who were arrested by the police and their human rights abuse to go to the court. It starts with 5,000 and more, and every court order that is made, the poor person who is the complainant or the plaintiff has to pay. Where they're getting the money. Last week I heard on your show about the legal aid. It is very disappointing because in terms of the menu, people who really need the aid, this is the policy of the legal aid authority not to take cases against the state because they are a state institution. I was offered the job as the executive director in 2011 when they wanted to set up the office. And I declined based on all those things because people who have been wronged by the state, When the state has to protect and observe the human rights, you telling me they have no money, they cannot get help from the legal aid authority? I could not be sitting and be part of such an organization when this thing is happening. So it's time we look at what is very important, because without the rule of law and the justice system, everything else would be lost in this country. You can have all the tourism, all the this, all of that, but this is essential and key to our democracy and the rule of law. And without that, it is like the foundation, and we have to do better. We complain. I remember the first march we had, or I had, and some of the individuals. You have this guy, the crab vendor, Isaac was there. It's 2000 when Beck Hamilton, this young guy, was shot in the back outside the arcade simply because he was afraid and ran away from the police. He had just said maybe some words or something to some staff member at Royal Bank, and the police were out to arrest him. And that guy was killed. And we held a march. We had several meetings. On the day of the march, people who said they were coming, where were they? There was one school teacher who attended the march because she taught Beck Hamilton at the St. Mary's College, and she was very sorry as to what had happened, his demise. And she attended that march. And the lady was taken to task by the school when she went back and so on. So when such things happen, people want to come out on solidarity when you have a march. And there was another march in 15 or 16. Again, when you had the civil service fiasco, the fiasco at the civil status office, people have to get up from 4 o'clock to come and line up for the birth certificates. And we were involved in organizing. Again, when the turnout was very poor, even the so-called organizers who came together, some of them never even showed up because they had a hidden, that's the other thing too, people who organize marches for political reasons, hidden agenda, and that is not good, because in that other march we had, when we had the civil status crisis, persons had their political agendas. They knew what time the election was going to be called, and the United Workers' Party would have been announced. You must have a unity of action, but also unity of purpose to achieve your ends, and that wasn't there. And for that reason, I don't even think I want to be involved in people organizing marches, because people have other agendas, and that is not right. I can call Mr. Alexander as he was one of those in that march that we had. And when we called upon him, after we went to the market steps and we spoke and we gathered, a petition was circulated, people signed. When it was said, let us take the petition to the Attorney General to see the recommendations that the people are making for reprieve and to better the problem in the civil status registry. What he said to me, oh, Mary, the government has just come into power. Give the people a chance. That means Labour Party has just regained. Give the people a chance. So then I realized there was hidden agenda. So we are not serious in this country. We want to just crawl on our belly for crumbs instead of stand up on our feet and fight for what is right. We cannot be neutral in situations like that. For the time being, that is what I've said. I'm calling upon the DPP to do better than that. He has to have more supervision of his office, more supervision of the police prosecution unit. The police prosecution unit also sits in the same office as the DPP. You have two prosecution units, the DPP's office and the police prosecution. There is little oversight over the police prosecution. They do what they want with the people in laying the charges for the summary charges in the district court. Just recently, a client of mine who had a matter pending for 12 years before the High Court, where the police officer was indicted for shooting him. The police officer was moonlighting in violation of the police off-duty related regulations which govern such activities. In violation, he didn't have the commissioner's permission to be where he was and shot the gentleman. The case was going on for 12 years, and recently, 6 o'clock in the evening, the client was called by a Crown Counsel from the DPP's office saying, don't come to court tomorrow, we will be drawing the charges. The client called me, and I made contact with the Crown DPP's office in the morning. I was very busy, and I would have liked to, I asked them to actually ask for an adjournment, because that cannot be right. And lo and behold, I did not arrive at the court because I was involved in some of the matter. And the client said that in a matter of 15 minutes, the case was called and it was withdrawn. A case can only be withdrawn with the permission of the DPP. I do not do that. Crown Counsel, who I spoke to, whether he had the permission of the DPP. I also spoke to the DPP. I didn't get a good result. And as a matter of fact, I think I can say so. I know the police officer was represented by the DPP when he was in private office for that same incident when he started. So I am not saying the DPP interfered and so on. But to me, the likelihood is there. The likelihood, you have to be careful about the persons we put into office sometimes. All those things are very important. We pay them high salaries when lots of us are crunching in this country. And what is the service you're getting? You're being shortchanged. If it was in Cuba or one of those other countries, those things will not be happening. We need a little bit of socialism. We need a little bit to discipline our people and to get the results that we need in this country. We really need that now. There's too much laissez-faire and too much dependency, too many lies, too much subterfuge by the Prime Minister, other persons in the public service. It is no more neutral public service. These are politicized. They put their people in various positions so that they're mute. They're afraid to speak because they might lose a job, they might be transferred, and so on. You have the judge who was transferred to Grenada. Look at where he is now today. He was transferred for speaking out on important principles in defense of the judiciary when he said that there was supposed to be an interference in his duty by members of the executive. And what happened? He was transferred. Instead of the Chief Justice actually standing up for the principle, he was transferred. And even persons were threatened there at the registry that they will be transferred. You have those things happening today in St. Lucia after how many years of a constitution which outlines the various functions of various institutions. What is happening? We have really gone down very, very low and backward. It was not so before. When we started as an independent state, it has gotten worse. And those who had the doctorates, those who know better, those who fought Compton, those who had the demonstrations, look at what they have created today. Why? They are drunk with power. That's all it is, drunk with power and expediency. I'm ashamed of the Labour Party government. Honestly, I was with them. I was a member of the executive. I did a lot of work there. And today that is the Labour Party. It has lost its soul. I didn't comment on the Bannon issue. A Labour Party is coming out and speaking out like that. The workers at the hotel speaking out like that. No. I am so surprised. It's disappointing, it is discouraging and depressing to live in St. Lucia today, the state we have found ourselves. And I wish people, we're talking about well civil society. Well, they have gone. They were clientele people, they have gone. Those of us who are speaking, we're still interested. Let us come together. Put our feet on the ground. Let us come together. Put our feet on the ground. There should be no fear. No question of neutrality and fear. When you have evil, you can't afford to be neutral. You have to take a stand. Mr. Poleon, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling. Recorded it, some 20 minutes of Miss Mary Francis. Very energetic lady. The broadcast will continue in just a moment. This is the most monitored talk show in the world.
Ouais, messieurs, pas jodi moi la ka espérer plein bon glow. Si t'en la pani pressure. Moi ni tongue, moi ni glow, mais money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pomme. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller ko Europa. Yo ni toute pomme pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. Yo ni pli mer pour pomme cette ici. Yo ka ranger pomme aussi qui besoin service. Prendre pompe yo c'est Léo. Pompe ça c'est major. I bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moins actuellement. Glo ka fonte. Europa ni pompe glo Léo en de pour les 9, juin et gris. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452 0763.
Prepare for the hurricane season by ensuring trees and other objects on your property won't get tangled in overhead wires. Be careful. Ensure ladders and tools don't come within 10 feet of power lines. If a tree is near electrical lines, don't try to trim it yourself. Contact Lucelec at 452-2165 or 454-6617. Be smart. Stay safe.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps pumping.
This one's just for you. Get ready for the KFC Teen Socarama happening Saturday, June 28th from 12 to 6 p.m. at Serenity Park. It's a full day of teen talent on display. Junior soca and calypso artists, kiddie carnival bands, fashion, drama, games, and non-stop vibes. Come out and let's have some good, clean fun. No alcohol, just finger-licking goodness. So tell a friend, grab your crew, pull up to KFC Teen Socarama. See you there.
I in a good spirit. I drink in a good
St. Lucia, are you ready for the ultimate all-inclusive?
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Eventbrite, Digicel Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State.
Look something to talk about.
Unlimited drinks, brunch buffet, top class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Your home is a reflection of who you are. So make it beautiful with MNC Home Depot.
Quality products at the best prices. Paint and plumbing to home appliances. Customer service, you can count on us. With experience you can trust.
So if you need to build it, clean it, style it, paint it or fix it, chances are we got it. MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
Visit us in store or shop online at mnchomedepot.com. MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world via YouTube. Some comments there. Somebody says there, wow, my heart breaks to hear Miss Mary Frances. Wow, wow. Another person says, wow, she said a lot without saying so much. Another one says, the truth must be said. Thanks, Mary Frances. And another comment, she is my superwoman. Also, another comment via WhatsApp this time. We have to do something for Mary Frances before she's gone. Let's give her her flowers while she's still here. A really great woman. If half of the men in St. Lucia had half of her courage, we would have been in a better place. Certainly, I would like to second this. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Good afternoon, Tim. What a passionate plea by Madame Francis. Let's find out what's happening in the chat room, Amanda, before we conclude the broadcast.
Timothy, a few comments from earlier NewsSpin that says here, that still does not give the police the right to treat him that way. Another commentary says, exactly, stop judging videos when you have not seen the beginning. A NewsSpinner says here, most police are not law literate. That police should be aware that a firearm can only be used if his life is threatened and at risk. Also, a threat by anyone is deemed an assault in our law books. Another commentary reads, is it a matter for human rights to investigate? Sorry, it is a matter for human rights to investigate. Someone says, so what if he did all what you are saying? He was not resisting arrest. This is assault. They were angry that he walked away. Does that equate to brutality? St. Lucians, stop pacifying. That's why we are in the mess we are today. Choops.
Thank you so much, Amanda. We have our final call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Tim, what's up?
Yes,
man?
sir.
Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yeah, Tim, has Mary ever given an award, an MBE, something, something of that sort? Has she ever been given anything?
I am not aware, sir. I'm not aware.
Because if not, that's a selfless lady, This lady is not, she's not looking for money. She has been working tirelessly. She has been advocating for the people who have not received justice, and these are the kind of people, we have to look to give the awards, not, because this person is my friend, they're going to get an MBE and that kind of thing, These are the kind of people that need it. These are the people we should give it. In fact, whichever government that comes in the next election, I hope they look at Mary Francis to give her an award.
Well, why must it take the next? Why must it take the next election? Hold on.
Because
let's do it now.
No, because those who are there now will not give her.
Let's do it now.
Those who are there now will not give her. Queen's
yeah.
birthday has been gone. This one has been gone. They won't give her now. And you would never have a Queen's birthday until the next election. I mean,
sometimes you have
just don't give anything.
Sometimes you have to show that you're above the pettiness. That because somebody criticizes you, that you ignore the fact that a lot of what they're saying is legit and they are worthy of some kind of recognition.
Forward to in St. Lucia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am not looking for no recognition in St. Lucia. Trust me. But I've done a lot myself. But I'm not looking for nothing. But Mary actually deserves. She has been speaking the voice of advocacy. Give that to her.
All right, Connor.
She has been talking. And we all know that she's selfless. Okay, something needs to go to Mary Francis.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
All
Have
right.
a nice one.
Same to you. Thank you so much for calling. Our NewsSpin question of the day. The question of the day reads, why hasn't the Prime Minister ever received any official info on possible U.S. travel bans? Why hasn't the Prime Minister ever received any information or any official info on possible U.S. travel bans? Our NewsSpin question of the day. And that's followed by our NewsSpin news of the day. The NewsSpin news of the day reads, top oil CEOs sound the alarm as Israel-Iran strikes escalate. Top oil CEOs sounded the alarm as Israel-Iran strikes escalate. That's a broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.